Good morning, everyone. Thank you very much for coming to Level 39. My name is Eric van der Klee. I'm the head of Level 39, which is a big fintech accelerator. Wow, what a turnout. Thank you for an amazing effort. I have two very simple jobs this morning. One is to be the official cheerleader and supporter for Innovate Finance, and for a change, I'm actually going to be cheering from the sidelines. But the second job that I have today is to introduce our first speaker, who is actually the CEO of Innovate Finance. Claire Cockerton was born in Canada. She is an entrepreneur in her own right and established and sold her business there in Canada before coming to the UK, where she studied at Imperial, did a master's in innovation, actually, you know, the different types of innovation, before helping Richard Branson establish things like the Entrepreneurs Foundation in South Africa. Very challenging environment to do so. But we know her best because she's one of the founding team here at Level 39, and every day she works with the largest companies, helping them to figure out what their innovation strategy is in fintech, as well as the smallest young company that really wants to eat their lunch. So she's nobody better suited. Could you please put your hands together to welcome Claire Cockerton.
Good morning. Am I mic'd up? I'm ready. Welcome, everyone, to the launch of Innovate Finance, a new organization dedicated to accelerating technology-led financial services companies, small and big. It's no accident we're standing here in Canary Wharf, the epicenter of modern business that expands on the history of trade and transformation that has happened here in East London. And here at Level 39, one of London's fintech accelerators, enabling the next generation of growing firms. Looking out these windows, we can see across East London to the historic heartland of financial services, the City of London, and to the thriving hub of innovation that is Tech City. It is the generous support of Mark Boleat from the City of London Corporation and Sir George Icabescu from Canary Wharf Group that has allowed us to lay the bedrock of this organization. Thank you, gentlemen. Without you, this would not have been possible, and your collaboration in support of us demonstrates the important convening role that Innovate Finance will play. The world of financial services is in a period of rapid change. And as we all know, it needs to continue to evolve further, financially and in reputation. But what we've all recently seen is that the United Kingdom is emerging with strength and stability, feeding the success of new business models, new technologies, new entrepreneurs, taking advantage of the opportunities of industry change, all within a strong business environment. Today marks the birth of a new movement, created by entrepreneurs and innovators from our industry. And building this movement has been 9 months of care and dedication and hard work. The idea of Innovate Finance was conceived in the summer of 2013, when the government asked us to map the opportunities and challenges of fintech landscape in the UK. What followed was a series of roundtables with members of the now founding 50 and other key industry stakeholders. We defined the organization, we established an identity, and we set forward a vision for the future. Today, we are very proud to launch Innovate Finance as a fully independent organization with entrepreneurship and innovation at our heart. Today, we launch Innovate Finance with over 50 founding members already, who operate across the payments, banking, data analytics, crowdfunding, insurance, and digital currency sectors, among others. We bring together members who are just starting up, agile, young, ambitious techies, and large corporations who have the experience of innovation on an international scale. And we have the support of policymakers and regulators here with us today who all want more for our industry and for our country and are eager to engage with us here with this community. Our members are pioneering new digital products and services to meet the demands and opportunities of the highly connected, highly mobile world in which we now live. We have a world-class education system offering and attracting multidisciplinary talent, engineers and designers and sociologists and data scientists and entrepreneurs. Our business-friendly tax and investment schemes, our multicultural cities connected to and well-positioned to trade with East and West, emerging and established economies, and a consumer base eager to try out the newest tech. The United Kingdom is where this is happening, and the time is now. Innovate Finance will drive this more open, competitive, and inclusive financial services ecosystem, which will deliver greater choice to consumers. We will directly support our members with new partnerships and by ensuring greater visibility among consumers. And then we will share their successes in bringing more diversity and balance and resilience to the financial services sector. For example, Heckle, a big data platform bringing customer insight to investors and traders, just raised $3.5 million in Series A funding and is opening their international office here in Canary Wharf to trade back home in Mumbai and beyond. Or Digital Shadows, a cyber intelligence firm collaborating with the Bank of England to develop vulnerability tests for the United Kingdom's financial infrastructure, helping ensure the sector's security and resilience. Or our leading crowdfunding platforms, for example, Syndicate Room, who raised funds that will allow the first aircraft to be designed and built in the UK in decades. Or Crowdbank, whose peer-to-peer lending platform enabled a local Islington cafe to raise the capital necessary to open a second location in just 3 hours. This shows us the impact of the fintech sector across industries and how it is empowering the real economy in the UK. You're going to hear more from our founding 50 in the tech demo room and in the coming days as we shine a light on these growing firms and on the various initiatives and emerging tech clusters we are partnering with across this country. We have set out our first plan of action, our first-year plan of action, to build our community and take our movement to the global stage. You'll find this in your program for today. Innovate Finance will be that single point of access to key influencers in the sector. Innovate Finance will run policy and regulatory roundtables, pooling influence with sister initiatives like Tech City and Tech UK, the first to come in September with FCA's Project Innovate team. Innovate Finance will represent our movement at global conferences, this year in Boston at Sibos. And we will host our Innovate Finance annual forum, initially taking place at Guildhall in October. Innovate Finance will run accelerator programs and hackathons for big technology and payments companies to consolidate the best in product development thinking. Innovate Finance will provide critical research into the sector. Today, we are giving you an example of this insight, a report commissioned by UKTI from EY to showcase how the United Kingdom is uniquely well-suited for fintech innovation. Innovate Finance will build a new curriculum for fintech with the Open University and reach out to students to encourage them into our sector. Innovate Finance will run alternative finance programs with the British Business Bank to showcase the growing array of funding options and the importance of the public in economic recovery. Innovate Finance will provide an online platform for promotion and exposure to new clients and new markets. and Innovate Finance will introduce our members to their target audience, whether that is a big bank or the underbanked or a smart investor. Innovate Finance will attract fintech companies from around the world to join our movement from the UK, to drive greater investment into the sector, to create jobs, to reduce business risks, grow enterprise, increase resilience, to diversify, to share, because this matters to all of us, and because we want more for our money. Today, Innovate Finance puts a stake in the ground. Today, we raise our flag. Today, we are joining forces, because we cannot make this transformation ourselves, in isolation, or with our own individual causes. We will move forward together with you. So please join us. And to further set the scene for this transformation here in the UK, join me now in welcoming one of our greatest champions, the Chancellor of the Exchequer, George Osborne.
Congratulations, Claire. Congratulations. Well, thank you, Claire, and it's fantastic to be here today at the launch of Innovate Finance, and I want to congratulate you personally, Claire, and the team on making this possible, bringing together this fantastic audience and setting the organisation up. I want to thank Mark and the corporation for backing this. I want to also thank George and Canary Wharf for also being there at the beginning. And it's fantastic to be here on level 39, the largest financial technology accelerator in Europe. I actually worked in this building more than 20 years ago, and it was a bit of a isolated, outpost 20 years ago. But now it's amazing what's happened in Canary Wharf, and George and the team have done a brilliant job. And this is the latest incarnation of what is going on here. And I'm here today because the technologies that you are developing have huge economic potential, not just for the United Kingdom, but for the world. And indeed, I've just seen some of those technologies for myself, and I would urge you, if you've not, to see them later. And just as the introduction of paper money hundreds of years ago revolutionized commerce, so the technologies being developed today will revolutionize the way we bank, the way we invest, and the way companies raise money. And it will lead to new products, new services, new lenders. And the exciting thing about combining new technology and a free market is that no one in this room, least of all myself, can predict exactly how these new forms of banking will develop. What we can do, or what I can do, is help you to create the best environment in which this financial innovation can flourish. And I'm here today because I want the UK to lead the world in developing fintech. That is my ambition, short and sweet. And we have all the ingredients we need. We're the world's leading financial capital. We have amongst the best scientific research here in this country, one of the greatest tech hubs in the world, near here in Tech City, and the highest density of startups in the world as well. And we have a long history of leading the way in financial innovation, from the very first insurance market and the invention of joint stock companies centuries ago, to our rapid emergence now as the Western Centre for new global currencies like the renminbi and indeed for Islamic finance. And with the right backing from government, I think we can make London the fintech capital of the world. And for me, this is not an add-on to what the city already does. It has to be what the city becomes in the future. People are using technology in new ways to communicate, to form social groups, to shop. Why not new ways to bank? And that means much, much more than just viewing your statement online. It means being able to bypass traditional banks altogether if you wish, lend money directly through peer-to-peer lending platforms like Funding Circle and Zupa, both represented here today. And it means being able to wire money around the world without paying high fees through technologies like TransferWise, which I just saw demonstrated. And it means being able to analyze how you're spending your money, being able to transfer it directly to a friend or a relative, even managing your kids' allowance on your phone which you can now do with services like Meninga, Payem, and Yo-Yo. Of course, it's not just about personal banking either, whether it's making debit payments cheaper for our shops, using big data to analyze investments in private companies, or opening up new ways to fund new startups or developing the best cybersecurity technology. Fintech will transform the way we do business, and UK companies are already leading the way. But we mustn't be complacent or think that Britain has some innate right to lead the world. There is fierce international competition for this growing industry. And you need the right support from government to win this global race. You need the best investment environment, the right tax system, the appropriate regulatory rules, the best infrastructure, and a government that gets out there in the world and sells your products and services with you. And I'm here today to announce new measures to back you in all of these areas. So first, investment and tax. Now we're introducing what I believe is the right tax regime for this new industry. There are major new incentives to encourage investment in startups. We have the patent box now up and running so that if you invent in the UK, you only pay 10% on those profits. And we will now allow peer-to-peer lending in ISAs, which is a big innovation. We're also backing you with public investment too. The British Business Bank has already committed over £100 million of new funding to fintech companies and to the development of new and innovative forms of finance. This investment programme has benefited many companies represented here today and many other small and innovative businesses. But I wanted to go much further, so today I'm announcing I'm extending the scheme with another £100 million of investment. That's a huge new investment in companies like yours, which will have benefits for businesses in all sectors of our economy. Today's commitment is part of a massive programme of investment in science and research, which I've made a personal priority of mine in government. And to make sure we stay ahead of the game, and we are prioritising investment to support the fintech industry, I'm today asking one of our best scientists, the government's chief scientific advisor, Mark Walpert, to lead a review into the future of fintech with people from the industry to find out what more we can do to back you in the future. So that's investment. Second, we're backing you by creating a regulatory environment that gives new entrants the chance to succeed. Now, we've already introduced legislation so fintech companies can get access to credit data on small businesses, can access payment systems, and can compete more effectively in business lending. Today, I can announce that as part of the first ever small business bill going through Parliament now, this government will legislate to require the big UK banks to pass on information on small businesses they reject for loans so that fintech companies and alternative lenders can step in and offer finance instead. So often a small business will be suitable for finance, but 70% of small firms only approach one bank and nearly 40% give up at the first attempt, meaning many businesses just don't get the finance they need. Well, no more, this legislation will bring a whole wave of new lenders much closer to the small businesses they wish to serve. And I'm also pleased to announce a new partnership between Innovate Finance and the British Business Bank to champion fintech and the opportunities it creates for small businesses to access the finance they need. Now, regulation has to be pro-innovation, so we're also passing laws to unlock new technologies, for example, letting people use their smartphones to pay in cheques. And the FCA, the Financial Conduct Authority, has committed to open its doors to financial service firms who are developing new approaches to help them navigate the regulatory system and identify areas where the regulatory system needs to adapt and change to the new technology. And these are positive developments that I hope will help us create the right pro-innovation regulatory environment. And recognising that the world of finance as we know it is changing in front of our eyes, I can also announce that the government will start a major programme of work exploring the potential of virtual currencies and digital money. These alternative payment systems are popular because they are quick, they are cheap and convenient, and I want to see whether we can make more use of them for the benefit of the UK economy and UK consumers. I also, of course, want us to be alert to the risks that accompany any new technology. So I'm kicking off this programme of work today. Among other things, it will look at whether regulation of the sector is required so that the virtual currency business can continue to be set up in the UK and people and businesses can use them safely. Third, we're backing you and indeed the whole British economy with the digital infrastructure we're going to need if Britain is to grow and succeed in the long term. We're now rolling out rapidly 4G and superfast broadband. We've set out a new, more flexible spectrum strategy, which will support the Internet of Things. And now I want us to look towards the next step of challenges. And historically, we have always been on the back foot. I think this is true of many Western countries. Governments of all political parties have built the digital infrastructure that meets current needs without planning ahead to provide the capacity that we'll need in the future. No longer. Today, I'm launching a consultation on how we can plan for the next wave of digital infrastructure so we can unlock the full potential of 5G and fibre networks, whether it's being fully connected at all times, phones that don't lose signal, download at up to 1 gigabyte per second, or immersive home networks where all your devices are interconnected. We are consulting today so we can make sure we build the digital infrastructure we need to support that. The best investment environment, the best regulatory environment, the best infrastructure. The final thing we need for the UK to be the global fintech capital is a government that gets out there in the world, that uses our extensive network of embassies and trade delegations in all parts of the globe to sell what you do, to help you get into new markets. And I've asked UK Trade and Investment to make fintech a priority. Today we're launching their campaign to make the UK the destination of choice for setting up a fintech company and to encourage companies around the world to come here as the springboard for internationalizing their fintech business. So my message today is simple. We stand at the dawn of a new era in banking. Mobile banking apps, peer-to-peer lending, virtual currencies. Technologies such as these are going to transform our lives and create huge economic opportunities, all part of a long-term plan for a brighter future. And today I'm taking major new steps to make sure the UK leads the world in developing these exciting technologies, new investment, new support for innovation, an international campaign to sell British technology, seizing the potential of 5G. That's how we're going to make the UK the fintech capital of the world as part of a long-term economic plan to cement Britain's position as the centre of global finance and global technology. We're giving you the backing you need to thrive, so let's get on with it. Let's make the UK the fintech capital of the world. Thank you very much. I think we're going to take some questions. Is that that's right?
Yes.
Right. Who has?
Thank you, Chancellor. I have been speaking with our community and gathering, collating the questions, and I just have a couple to ask you. I was going to ask about what further commitments there are to support the tech sector, but you've clearly outlined some really granular level policies and changes that you plan to make. I want to ask about the talent that we need to protect here and grow here in the UK. Here in the tech sector, we really celebrate the fact that we've got an international pool of talent, multidisciplinary talent, so coming from many different areas of study. Over half of our members come from other countries. So what can be done, in your view, to protect and grow this multicultural ecosystem that we need?
Well, it's partly about making the UK the place where you want to set up your business, and that's the things that I was talking about, the access to finance, the removal of barriers to entry, a tax system that I think has some of the best incentives in the world for startups and attracting investment. It's also making sure there's a place that people want to live, in other words, investing in the infrastructure here and the quality of life here. For example, the Crossrail train system, which you can see the station of as actually you leave this building. You can see the new Crossrail station. Yeah, that is the largest infrastructure project being built anywhere in Europe at the moment, and it's going to be, it's going to be opened in the next couple of years, and it's going to transform travel through the centre of the city. And of course, it's also about making sure that we have a visa system that backs entrepreneurs. There is a specific visa service for entrepreneurs and tech entrepreneurs, which is out there, ready to use. There is additional space in it, if you see what I mean. There's additional visas there to be issued. And that's something I think that your organisation, Claire, that the government can do more to publicise. So, bring all those things together and you'll get people coming here, as of course they already do, and we will make this a magnet for talent from around the world. Also, I hope, a magnet for talent in the city.
Yes, thank you, thank you. And another question about encouraging challenger banks and new entrants into our marketplace. How will the government work to continue to support non-banks and challenger banks to come to London and the UK to set up shop, to provide the critical services necessary to support the SME sector, perhaps the finances, to grow their business?
Well, I mean, I think the first thing to say is, look, I also want our big successful banks to be part of this. And look at a bank like Barclays. They've got a lot of really interesting innovation they're doing themselves in the fintech sector. So it is not just about new entrants, but of course that is a big part of it. And I was talking earlier actually to some of the people involved in setting up the organisation with you, Claire, and they were remarking that access in getting into finance has some of the biggest barriers to entry of almost any industry in the world. I mean, maybe pharmaceuticals we were discussing is an even bigger challenge to get into. And there are, of course, a set of regulations that seek to protect consumers and keep our financial system secure. But there are also a set of regulatory obstacles, frankly, which are just barriers to entry, which make it difficult to set up a new bank, which make it difficult to set up a non-bank provider. And what we're trying to do is remove those obstacles, both make it easier to get a banking license, but also, for example, we're creating an independent regulator of the payment system so that you're not having to piggyback onto one of the major banks to provide services which compete against the major bank that you might be relying on for those services. We are, through the British Business Bank, supporting non-bank forms of funding, particularly for small businesses. I think that's a weakness of the UK economy, indeed the European economy, compared to the US, that we've not had such a non-bank source of financing for small and medium-sized businesses. We do for large businesses. That's something actually that is the banking crisis 5 or 6 years ago has spurred the development of, and I want to see more of that. And then all these, all these regulatory changes and technology changes just make it much easier to set up platforms in which you can transfer money or offer financial products. So there are things government can do, and I say government in the broadest sense, not just the government sitting in Whitehall, but also the Bank of England and the Financial Conduct Authority. And what's important is we're all part of this initiative today.
Thank you. Thank you very much for your comments, and thank you for coming today.
Thanks very much.
Thank you. Ladies and gentlemen, I'd like to introduce Mark Boleat, Chairman of Policy and Resources at the City of London Corporation. Thank you for all your support, and please take the stage, Mark.
Thank you, Claire, and thank you, Chancellor. The City of London Corporation is really pleased to be the lead sponsor of Innovate Finance, committing funds over its first 3 years of operation alongside the Canary Wharf Group, who we must also thank for this splendid venue today. This is a hugely important initiative for London and for the UK. I would echo the Chancellor's comments about the importance of innovation for our economy. As a sector, fintech brings together some of London's and the UK's strengths in financial services with our burgeoning tech expertise. It is also a major opportunity for collaboration between some of the country's most exciting startups and early-stage businesses and existing major players in financial services, most of which have substantial bases here in the city or Canary Wharf, and indeed in the wider London and the UK. We in the city know that collaboration is how central to clusters work and I know that collaboration will be at the heart of how Innovate Finance operates in the fintech sector. So why is the City Corporation supporting Innovate Finance and with it the fintech sector in London and more widely? Well, we are a central champion and advocate for the UK-based financial services industry, and we see fintech as a key component of the city and its success in the future. Supporting the sector makes good sense from that perspective. But we also see the benefits of a buoyant fintech sector to communities across wider London, bringing with it major job creation potential and the broader economic benefits of fostering growth in an innovative, dynamic sector, one in which London has a real competitive edge and is becoming a world leader. Ensuring that all London's communities thrive is important to us, and supporting a key growth sector for London through sponsorship of Innovate Finance is just part of our contribution to that agenda. We'll also be interested to hear how Innovate Finance and its member companies demonstrate public benefit through the impressive technologies that they're developing. Innovate Finance will provide a voice for the fintech sector to help inform the development of a favourable policy, regulatory and infrastructure environment. The City Corporation is happy to help where possible. I was interested to hear the Chancellor's comments about the importance of rolling out high-speed broadband. A key challenge we are grappling with in the city is broadband connectivity, especially for SMEs, and this in the City of London and in Tech City. If we want to continue to be the global centre for fintech, we need the government, service providers and regulators to work with us on this. Smaller businesses, even in the city and including fintech businesses, need faster connectivity to stay competitive. Unlike large businesses, they cannot afford expensive dedicated lease lines from a range of providers. They need the superfast broadband which we've seen rolled out elsewhere. High-speed broadband is a critical part of business infrastructure, and we're keen to work with others, including Innovate Finance, to ensure that it supports the needs of SMEs across the city and beyond. On another note, we are looking forward to welcoming many of you here and Innovate Finance's growing membership base to Guildhall in the autumn for the inaugural annual summit. Thank you very much. Every good wish to Claire and the Innovate Finance team. And now it gives me great pleasure to hand over to Alistair Lukies, Chairman.
Thank you. Am I on? Yeah. Thank you very much, Mark. Thank you, Chancellor. Very quickly for me, last couple of minutes, you'll be delighted here. You can get back to the members' showcase. Please do go and see what's next door. There's some pretty incredible innovations through there. A couple of thank yous. I'm incredibly honoured, very flattered to be involved to try and help us get going. Just so we're all clear, this is the start line. This is the beginning. If I look at benchmarks of what I believe Claire and the team are here to achieve, if you look at what the GSMA did for the mobile industry every year now in Barcelona, there's inward investment of 150 million euros, 25,000 people travel to Barcelona to hear about what comes next in the mobile industry, what standards are there to be set. There is absolutely zero reason why London shouldn't do the same for fintech. So we have some grand ambitions. I want to thank Claire and the team. A huge amount of the work that has been done to get to the start line has been voluntary. People have given up. That happens to me a lot. People have given up a huge amount of their time to get to this start line. So, you know, as we leave in a second, please just do recognise that a lot of these initiatives, while we're very grateful for the back-in, a lot of these initiatives, it's always the people. We saw it in the Olympics, the volunteers that do a huge amount of work to get us to the start line. So let's not forget that. I want to thank the Chancellor personally because I personally, in my role at Monitise, have benefited from the very sincere commitment from this government to bang the drum for British business. We've had both the Prime Minister and the Chancellor and other ministers going around the world explaining why the UK has such great innovation and why mobile banking, mobile payments can really change the landscape. And if I may, just for 60 seconds, can we all just for a second recognise that we take this stuff for granted in this part of the world? So we all do it, don't we? We go out for dinner or for a date or for a drink and we pay with our card, Premier card, of course. I get air miles with that, and all the benefits. And then we get off a plane somewhere in the world and we put the card into an ATM. We're frustrated that we're third in the queue for the ATM because that's really gets under our skin that we've got a queue to get our cash out at almost 1% commission with the same PIN somewhere else in the world, and your daily limit's €500. And we as consumers then go online and we use our card to buy pretty much anything we want. We've heard a new album, we download it, we buy it instantly, we stream it to our phone. And all of that happens seamlessly. And we still get frustrated about the fact that we might have to put in mother's maiden name and inner thigh measurement a couple of times just to confirm that we are who we say we are. So there's already a ton of stuff that goes on in fintech. And as frustrated as we might get with our bank or the big institution that protects our money, this is not crazy frog ringtones. You know, this isn't games, it's not Java games, this is people's money, and it really matters. And so if you can, just for 2 seconds, now think about other parts of the world where on this planet, there are 7 billion mobile phones, but only 2.2 billion bank accounts. So think about the delta. Think about people that have access to the internet through their mobile phone, have access to communications, but have never benefited from an agricultural loan to get insurance on their crop so they can feed their family. That's the power of fintech. And what fintech needs is it needs a body to come together, it needs a country to come together and say, we will strike the right balance between innovation and regulation, innovation and sustainability, innovation and resilience, so that when people are pinging their money around the world, as the Chancellor very articulately put, that money is getting to the end destination and people aren't being ripped off in the middle. Because moving a shadow economy of cash to a shadow economy of digital doesn't solve anything for anyone. That's the size of the prize. That's the opportunity we have in the UK. As you can tell, we're very serious about it. We're very excited about it, we're very energized by it, and the fact that you've all turned up here today is about the best reward you could possibly have at the beginning of a journey like this. So enormous thanks from me and the whole team. If you can, just stay seated for 2 seconds. We're going to leave and escort the Chancellor and thank him very much for his contribution today. And then if you can, on your way to your day jobs, just look at the Members Showcase once more. That'll be fantastic. Thank you all very much indeed. Thank you.